Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chess Mathsters. Today, we are going to be looking at one of the most common checkmates, and that's the two bishops checkmate. Hello everybody. As you can see on this board, there's one white king, a black king, and two bishops. This is all we're going to be using to be checkmating the white king, since black has the two bishops. It might sound really crazy that only two bishops can checkmate, but as you'll see, this is actually possible and one of the few checkmates you must know as a beginner. So let's start out. The first thing you need to know is that the bishops are going to be next to each other most of the time. So it starts out with bishop to d6, and you'll see that this is going to start to create a wall for the king. As you know, in king and queen checkmate, the queen is creating the wall, and in the two bishops checkmate, when they're together, when the two bishops are together, they are actually creating a wall. Now we're going to do the next move, king e2, and now, as you might have guessed, this bishop has to be next to this one. How do you do that? Bishop e6. Now the two are next to each other. Now I'm going to show you how this is creating a wall. See this? This bishop is controlling these squares, and this bishop is controlling these squares. And the king only has a certain region that it can go unless it's being attacked. So that's how the wall is being created. Now, the king moves up again, and the king moves now. So the reason that the king moves up is that the king is going to have to protect these two bishops when they're next to each other. So the king is going to be the one moving for most of the time after this. King e4, king e6, king d4, king f5. Notice the kings are just moving around until king e3 is when you start moving the bishops again because it's safe. So now you can do bishop e5, the king moves to d3, and what do? Well, keep on putting them together. Bishop to d5 works. Now, it's going to be the same process until a little bit afterwards. So after king e3, bishop e4, notice that this bishop is protected because of the king, which is why we needed to move it up. If the king was stuck here the whole time, there was no way the two bishops were going to checkmate. So this means that the king always has to be next to the two bishops. After king e2 and bishop d4, always sticking together, and then king d2, king f4, keeping the king close to these two bishops at all time. And after king e2 and bishop e3, and king e1 and bishop d3, look at the wall we've created. Here, 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 and here. Right now the king only has one move, and that is to move to d1, king d1, and then the king moves to f3. And after the king moves back to king e1, the bishop does something a little bit strange, but I'll tell you why. The bishop moves to c2. Why does the bishop move to c2? Because it is very important not to stalemate. You can stalemate with two bishops and a king, and that will be bad because you're winning material. So the reason is, if your bishop goes to e2, that's stalemate. And if this bishop goes here, this king will take it. There's no way for the bishops to move, and the king can't move here, or anywhere basically that won't stay near the two bishops unless it's going backwards, but we don't want the king to go backwards. So bishop c2 is kind of like a waiting move. And this gives the opportunity for the king to move to f1. All these squares are blocked, and f1 is the only move. So after the king goes to f1 and bishop d2, even when the bishop moves here, the bishop is still going to stay together. And king g1 and king g3, this is an opposition actually. So we have opposition in another video, so please look at that if you don't know what it is. And after king f1, the king moves back to f1, there is mate in 3. Can you find it? Bishop d3 check, king g1, bishop e3 check, king h1, and finally, for the final blow, bishop to e4 checkmate. Notice that this is protecting this square, the king is protecting this square, and the white bishop is checking the king. So this might sound difficult at first, but if you keep on watching this video over and over, you'll start getting the hang of the two bishops checkmate. If you ever have stuck in a position with a king and two bishops against one king, know that you might not lose, because after you watch this video, you know how to checkmate with these two bishops. So that's it for today. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed this video and want more like it. We will do more basic checkmates soon, such as a king and rook checkmate. We haven't looked at that yet. But for now, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.